Hi everyone, I'm Miss Delaney and I'm here to read you the next chapter of How Winston Came Home for Christmas. We're on chapter 11, Book Sniffing. Winston and Hines scampered up the wide marble steps and into the main reading room. It was imposing but warm, and in the very centre was a Christmas tree, though it was unlike any Winston had ever seen before. It was made entirely from books, with hundreds of twinkling lights nestled among them, and was decorated with dangling bookmarks. Around it, disappearing off in all directions, were towering corridors of bookcases, all heaving with giant tomes. Hines looked around in amazement. "And in each of these books is a story?" he whispered. Winston nodded. "Well, almost every book," he said, and he explained that some books had facts in them instead. He hoped at least one might help him solve the mystery of the language his mum was singing in his memories. "I would like stories best," said Hines, considering it all very carefully. Winston agreed. "The nice thing about stories is that you can go on all sorts of exciting adventures without actually leaving your armchair or bed," he said, and for a moment he thought about Oliver back home in Mistletoe Street reading their book by himself. Then a slightly worrying thought appeared. Time was running out. Winston had promised to get back for Christmas morning, and that was getting closer every second, but he still didn't know where his mum was. That funny aching feeling in his chest came again, and the thought of never finding her. Just then there came a strange clonking noise from somewhere nearby. Hines's eyes grew wide with alarm. "Monster footsteps," he said. "Monsters who gobble up foxes?" Winston shook his head. "Definitely not that. But what was it?" Gently he led Hines through the mazes of bookshelves until they discovered the source of the noise. Sitting at a high desk, illuminated by a single lamp, was a rat with a shawl draped around her shoulders. She was busily fussing with books and stamping a sheet of paper with a heavy-looking stamp. Winston and Hines scurried closer and saw that in front of her was a little sign that read Ingrid Lasserat, Night Librarian. Winston's ears waggled excitedly. He found the creature who might be able to help him. "If you have come for a book," said Ingrid, peering at them, "you'll have to wait a moment. Goodness me, so many to sort this evening." She gestured to the wobbly towers of books surrounding her. "Can we help you?" asked Winston. Ingrid stopped her stamping. "Yes," she said, "that would be most kind. You look like a good strong pair." For the next half hour, Winston helped Ingrid check her books and stamp Zuckerben against the titles on her list. Then it was Hines's job to carry each book gently in his mouth and carefully put them back in the right place. "Thank you so much," said Ingrid when they'd finished. "That job usually takes me all night on my own." She poured them each a thimble of lingonberry juice, and Winston introduced himself and Hines. Then he remembered the cakes Louis had given him in Paris to pass on to a friend. He pulled the parcel from under his jumper and presented them. They were more than a little bit squished, but Ingrid didn't seem to mind. She kindly shared them out. "Dear Louis, such a sweet boy," she said, tucking in. "Now you've helped me, so how can I help you?" Winston explained that the mice in Paris had thought that Ingrid might be able to help him identify the language of the lullaby. Under the glow of the bookish Christmas tree, Winston tentatively sang the mysterious words. Ingrid listened carefully. She said, "Now that does sound similar to quite a few languages I can think of, yet it's also entirely different. There's only one thing for it. If in doubt, consult a book. Follow me." And so Winston and Hines pattered softly through the library after Ingrid as she led them to a dusty corner. She started to pull books from the shelves and flick through them. "This is the language section," she explained. "There are all books about words." Winston had always loved words. He remembered tracing them with his paw in the newspapers he slept under when he couldn't sleep. As they searched through the books, Ingrid twittered away to herself, thinking of new ideas when her previous investigations hadn't proved successful. "There must be something to help here," she said, pulling another thick tome from the shelf. But eventually she shook her head, sighing, "I can't find any answers anywhere." Winston's ears drooped and Hines patted his little friend on the head with a paw to comfort him. Ingrid, however, pulled her shawl tightly round her shoulders and looked determined. "But I know someone who might be able to help us," she said. "It will involve a trip to the midnight market." Make sure you come back tomorrow to read chapter 12 to find out what happens then.